Hello, and welcome to the Pragmatic Live podcast series, where we tackle the biggest challenges facing today's product management, product marketing, and other product and data-driven professionals with some of the best minds in the industry. I'm Eddie Gordon, courseware designer, and today's guest host for the podcast series. And we have to do that because our normal host, we've turned the tables on, and our guest is Rebecca Kalogeris, Vice President of Marketing at Pragmatic Institute. Welcome, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm good, Eddie. It's totally different on this side of the mic.
Isn't it? Is it really?
It is.
You're my boss. I should mention that too. And I should get that out front because maybe it will affect the course of the conversation as we go along. I don't know.
If it gets cut short, they'll know why.
So we wanted to flip the tables a little bit and interview you today because we have some cool initiatives going on here at Pragmatic Institute. And we wanted to get the word out quickly and early so that people can understand what's going on. And mostly, I think, because we're excited about them. And you particularly are excited. If I can start with a little story, I was at my desk last week. I believe it was a Friday. And Rebecca comes bounding out of her office, willing to talk to anybody that would listen. She was going on about there was Lord of the Rings, there were umbrellas, there were construction sites, and the passion was pouring forth. But and it continued because it was a Friday. I believe I got texts from you that copied our art director late into the weekend. So this is huge, and I think people are going to want to hear about it. So what in the world was going on that day?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not that boss that makes them work all weekends long. That's not a normal thing. I really was just excited. And when we're talking about it like it's a new thing, there's been so much happening sort of under the surface, right? Like they talk about with the icebergs and 80% is below. And we've just been really working hard on so many initiatives, and they're just kind of starting to bubble up. And it's so exciting when you step back and you look at just how transformative this is going to be for us. I mean, it's all built on, well, let's step back, right? So one of the things about working at Pragmatic that is just awesome, it has been since the very first day I worked here, is that when you work for a company that teaches, if not preaches, the importance of market data and being market driven, you have like no choice but to be in the market. And you don't have the obstacles that I know a lot of you guys listening do have, right? We are we are encouraged, we are pushed, we are funded to talk to the market. So I've done hundreds of Nihito visits since I've worked here. We do dozens and dozens of win-loss calls. We have all this market information, and I feel like that information has given us such a clear understanding of what the market's looking for and a clear charge to help them solve that. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that's what we've been doing. So working really hard since we got our new CEO to kind of to address those things. So last year we did a sort of a refresh of our courses, great core concepts, bringing in some more of the modern aspects, making some of those ties to other things being taught. So it was clearer, right? Make better examples, newer examples. And we did a lot of that. And we've also been, hearing since I started I'm so excited after I finish training and I'm 100% pumped. But then I go back.
Yes.
Yes, right?
That's the question. Right now, what do I do? I've gone back. I learned this cool stuff. What's next?
And it's not that we don't provide tools. It's not that we don't teach some of that, but I've got to then go back and translate it into my environment, into my industry, into my product type, into my country, whatever sort of logistics are in my organization and whatever makes my organization a little bit different. I've got to do that translation, and I've got to do it while fires are burning all around, because that's just the nature of product, right? There's always something we should be tackling. Yeah. And so figuring out how we could support that in a way that worked for people of all different experience levels, of all different places. And how do we make that kind of support accessible, right? That's what we've been working on. And that's what you've been working on with your team and kind of all of the product and marketing groups have been doing. And that all of these great initiatives are coming up in order to build this sort of So all of these things come together to be really a one proven resource for sort of all of the product management, all of the product marketing, sort of as you need new resources, as you need to expand your knowledge, whether it's of different topics or whether you need to practice something that we've taught and you need some guidance there. There's this one, how do we become that one place that they can turn to, one platform for all of these different needs. And it's not something we alone do. It's something we do by partnering with other people, by leveraging you guys, the listeners, and building up communities. And there's so many opportunities to do this. And we are so committed to building this sort of ecosystem, this platform, for a lack of a better word, that really can support every aspect of this.
Yeah, here comes the passion again. I can feel it again. So now, are there any specifics that we've already accomplished that are about ready to be launched? Are there bigger things that are on the horizon? Can you give us an idea of some of the specific initiatives that are coming up? What can people look forward to in the near and the far term?
Sure. So the goal of all of these things, right, is to really build sort of a single, proven, reliable resource that people can go to no matter where they are, what level of their career, on what industry they're in, what products they're due, that they can go to for reliable information, reliable training, reliable resources, and something that will also evolve with them as they grow. In order to do that, of course, there's lots of different things to consider. And for different people, different solutions make sense. So we've kind of looked at that holistically as that's the problem we're trying to solve. And what are the right way for the different personas and people that we work with for us to solve that? And another thing is, I think as we have been a training company for a long time, and as training continues to evolve, people learn, people absorb in very different ways. So again, trying to think about all those different things. It's a really long lead into your answer. To answer your question, Eddie.
Well, so we've mostly in the past, we have our content has been accessible through live taught courses. Are we expanding that into different methods now? Can people access on different platforms?
Yeah. I mean, in the most direct translation of what we've done historically, right? The live training, we now do virtual online training led by instructors. So all of our core courses are available online. You get the same great instructors. You still have opportunities to work with your peers. And that's live today. That's sort of like the most direct translation. But we also wanted to expand beyond that, right? So for some people, even that doesn't work. Maybe they're transitioning from a different career. And so it's not really during business hours that they have that opportunity. Or they're in a geography where our live classes are in the middle of their night, right? So we've got other resources coming for that, sort of the async options that exist. For other people, they've taken the training, but they're still looking to expand their learning. And, maybe they're a very social learning, right? How do I learn from other people who've been here before, who've done this before? It's such a powerful way to learn. It's one of the reasons our instructors are so great, right? They're teaching from that spot. And now at this point, we have 150,000 other alumni out there who have done this and put it into action and seen huge successes and found some of the pitfalls, and being able to leverage them and really learn from them, I think is a powerful way. So that's why we've built the online community, right? The Pragmatic alumni community that gives you the opportunity to connect with your peers. It gives you sort of curated resources, or the best of the best, so that when you're trying to solve a specific problem, you're not hunting through pages of Google, but you go, okay, this is exactly what I need. And then, oh, here's someone who's used it and here's their advice. And I think that's a big, powerful addition. Another one, I could talk about this all day. Another one that I'm really excited about is, so in our training, we cover a lot of different sort of tools, right? And there's all these different things that we cover in an 8-hour day of just pure awesomeness. And then you get back to the office and you're all like, let's do it. And we're in a room and we're trying to figure it out. I remember doing this the very first time and I was like, oh, and now what? And you do it, right? Yeah. You kind of like, you try and you go, that kind of stuck, and maybe someone will do it. And that's a great way to do it. Lots of people do it that way. But it can also be great to have someone here and facilitate that for you, right? So we have facilitators that'll come on and they'll go through the day with you, right? We're going to say, let's do positioning, or we're going to build a roadmap. And we're going to really practice what we taught you on your own items, right? On your own problems, on your own products. And at the end of the day, you have a deliverable. You have a completed positioning document. Yes. You have a roadmap. Yes. But maybe even more excitingly, you have practice. You've built up muscle so that you can repeat this, because none of these things do you only do once. And so now we have labs. We have a whole series of labs,
Right.
which are so exciting as a way to practice what we teach and to really start to build that muscle and I think see that impact faster.
And will those be available with the traditional in-person teaching, or are they going to be available in other formats as well someday?
That's a great question. So not originally, but to start to launch, we're doing them in person. I think that facilitation and making sure we're kind of calling it it's a lean-in experience. Everybody is involved. Or like it's a no wallflower kind of setting. And once we kind of build that up, I think we're exploring different ways where you could have that same kind of experience and success online. Mm-hmm. But until we can deliver that and deliver it well, then we're not going to do that. But we're growing in that direction because it's just a reality that they have geographically dispersed teams.
Yeah.
And one other thing I just think is the neatest thing about the labs. Everyone who's listening who's been to training knows the very first thing you should do, Eddie,
is write your name on a little card and put it on the front of the table.
Maybe I should have clarified. After training, the very first thing you should do is Nahito visits, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I'm docking points now.
Dang it.
Turn the questions around on
I'm the interviewer here.
Grab the mic. You can't see it, but he did it. No, it's to get Nahito, right? Go out and do Nahito visits, get market data, because that's the basis of everything we teach and every decision you need to make. And you should 100% do that. Again, as we talked about, it's one of my favorite parts of my job that I get to do that. But it can be hard to do that and do that quickly, right? And so with the labs, if we're going to do a positioning document or we're going to do roadmap or we're going to do sort of, product marketing prioritization, where should your product marketing team focus? All of that should be based on market data. And if you've got market data, great, we're going to leverage that. But if you don't, we have sort of like a fresh market data pack starter kit, right? That you can hire us to do just, 10 interviews, start to get some core market data in. We do those interviews before the lab. We present that data and do some analysis for you guys during the lab. And then that information is used to inform the rest of the exercise. And it's also a great way to demonstrate to others in your organization just how powerful, how important, and how sometimes surprising that market data can be.
What a great way to get people hooked on Nahito visits, right?
Yeah.
Once you do it once, and then, now we can do this. Now we can take it on ourselves. Thank you very much. Yeah.
And just to really demonstrate how it may be different than what you expected. I think it's a sort of show and tell of, you thought they were going to say this, they said that. It's not a negative. It's not a gotcha. But it's a good eye opener that we need to be more in tune and constantly listening.
And a demonstration of the special skills needed for Nahito visits. It's not just an interview. It's not just gathering feedback. There are specific questions and skills that they can learn in a demonstration like that.
And there's another lab that actually talks about that, right? And so if you're building your Nahito program and you want to have help sort of building out the research guide, who should you be targeting? What questions should you ask? What are good questions? How are you going to bring it back? And then we actually do the first one with you, because it's the same kind of thing. It's scary until you do it. And once you do it, you're like, this is the best thing ever. And so I think that's another spot.
As all of these initiatives come online and are made available in the various formats, live, online, where would a person be able to go to get the big picture, to see the menu and understand all of the many offerings that we have, so that they can plan their careers based on what we make available for them, right?
Eddie, that's a great question. And just sort of, a sneak peek behind the curtain. We talked a lot about that. And sort of there was the idea of, we'll have all these things, we'll release them, and at the end, we'll give you this big, we'll give you the big story, like the big reveal. Like, oh, this is what we were doing with all those things. But I really didn't want to do that, right? I really wanted I wanted you all that are listening to come along with us on the journey. So, it's not that I have a finished landing page and catalog for all these offerings. It's that all of these things are in the works. And my plan and our plan as a marketing team is to give everyone visibility into that, because we're building the future of Pragmatic. Absolutely. but we're doing it because we're really trying to build your future, right? What are the tools? What are the platforms? What are the items? What are the other topics that are going to help you build up your product, your company, your career? And so I don't want to keep that from anyone, right? And so we're talking about it now. The labs will be live very shortly. Those will be at /labs. The community, you see some communication about that, the virtual stuff. And that's the plan is to give you pieces of this construction project, for lack of a better word, so that you can see, that you can start to take advantage of it, and that you can inform, right? So as you see things that you're excited about, let us know. If you see things you think we're missing, let us know, right? If you think that you want on the construction path for the future, let us know.
We're going on an adventure.
Yes, and I want you to come with us. Pack your bags.
Frodo Baggins.
So Eddie, tell me, what are you most excited about?
I'm a graphic designer at heart. So I'm really excited about improving usability, making our products more accessible, making them easier to understand and grasp and use, and therefore making them more valuable to our customers and therefore to their customers and to the companies that want to use them. Because pretty stuff gets used more. That's my mantra. But at the same time, ugly stuff gets hidden, and we're going to fix that in a lot of places. Also, wait a minute, I'm the interviewer here. What are you doing? Turned it around on me.
No, but I think that's really interesting. And I think having seen some of the early things that you and Norm and the rest of the team have done around making those improvements, right? So whether it's cleaning up the templates or, digitalizing some, we've got some apps coming through that, or you guys have done some great, I don't know how many people listening have come back from the classroom and been like, I am ready to do distinctive competencies now. And you open your book and you remember, but you're like, oh, what was that last piece? And so you guys have built some amazing how-tos and tutorials and refreshers that keep those things. And even the work doing on sort of the tangible items that you get in the classroom.
Yeah, we're incorporating in a lot more educational theory as well, learning styles, so that the great information that we have is not just more accessible, but learnable by people with different personality types and different situations. And that's just going to make it all easier to access and easier to use for everyone. So yeah, I'm excited about that. From my point of view and what I'm doing and seeing, we're increasing the value of what we already have, as well as adding more value, which is cool.
And we're having a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, we are. So if Rebecca's passion is contagious today and you're getting pumped up and excited about some of these things, maybe you've even had some ideas of suggestions and things that you'd like to see made available as tools to you and your company, go ahead and send them to us. We've got an email set up. You can send those suggestions or ideas to experts@pragmaticinstitute.com. We'll be grateful to hear from you. And who knows, maybe one of your ideas will make it onto the next edition of our podcast, and you'll be excited to hear the next generation of fun releases that we've got coming to you from the Pragmatic Institute podcast. So we've talked about a lot of different things today. Rebecca, if you could get our listeners to do 2 things differently based on what we've talked about today, what would that be?
Oh, that's a great question. So one,
it was yours.
It really is a good question, though. It's always hard. I always feel bad, but it's good. So I think one is I would absolutely invite the feedback, right? The more they can share with us what they want to see, what they think about what we're doing, that's the best possible source of information for us. So that would be one thing I would want them to do differently tomorrow than they did today was definitely, start that conversation with us so that we can more overtly and directly bring you along with us on the journey. The second I think I would do is, so we're launching a community in April. And that community is really for product managers and marketers, by product managers and marketers, right?
Mm-hmm.
How to the right resources and tools that you can get quickly to really succeed. And I would like you to think about what you could give to that community to help others. And whether or not you actually do it in the community or you just do that in your peer groups, I think that's a great way of sharing your lessons. And like, your lessons don't have to be like, I rocked this and it was perfect. Your lesson could be like, so here's what not to do.
Right.
But I think taking that time to think about how you could share it and then to start sharing it either in our community or somewhere else would be powerful.
Yeah. And then someone will share with you and
exactly,
we get better together.
Exactly. We can lift the whole profession.
That does it for today's episode. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to join us next week when we tackle another great topic designed to help you elevate your product,
your company,
and your career.